Well, hello. Today I'd like to talk to you about the Wing Sung 618. This is one of those infamous Chinese pens, which is, in some circles, is called a knockoff pen of the classic Parker 51. But I would like to put forth that, in many ways, it has exceeded the original. So if videos like this interest you, where I talk about pens both new and old, at all price points, please feel free to subscribe below. If you'd like to comment about knockoff pens or this pen in particular, please also feel free to comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So the Wing Sung 618, sorry, I'm struggling because I want to call it a hero because I've just been filming a whole string of reviews and all of them were heroes till I got to this pen and it's a Wing Sung, so I apologize. So this Wing Sung 618 is definitely looks a lot like the classic Parker 51. Arrow clip. The arrow, the stylization on the arrow is definitely a bit different. I would say that the cap is a bit different. The Wing Sung is a demonstrator. The Wing Sung screw cap. Parker is a slip cap. Hooded nibs. I'm not going to take the Parker apart to show you the ink collector and so on, but that sure looks a bit alike. But I will say in a lot of respects, I think that the Wing Sung exceeds the Parker. One of the big ones is the filling mechanism. Now, I had a little bit of an ink disaster with this Wing Sung during one of my pens in use because I was demonstrating how this is actually held in place, this piston turning knob. You actually have to pull it out with quite a lot of muscle before you can fill the pen. So I started turning it to show that. Well, I started to unscrew it from the pen body here, and I shot ink all over my pens in use page, so that was a little awkward. But that said, it is a piston filler, whereas the Parker is aerometric. Yay. Which has often been a criticism of a lot of the Chinese pens. Oh, it's just an aerometric filler. Also on the Parker, you can't tell the ink level. Obviously, with a demonstrator like this, you can. So, and the Parker has a jeweled finial if you're into that kind of thing. But we're here to talk about the Wing Sung, so let's just take a quick look. Piston turning knob. You have to pull it out to adjust the piston, but yet if I start turning now, I will shoot ink because it will start to push the piston down as it unscrews, which is annoying. Now, I don't know if that has to do with some cracks that have developed up here. You can kind of see them there. So you can see the piston mechanism. It looks pretty solid, and I'm pleased to see this in a Chinese pen. Here on the cap, of course, we've got made in China. Where else? Wing Sung 618. And the finials aren't anything too exciting. And I showed you before, but I'll show you again. Hooded nib. Nice, you can get a nice view of the feed and ink collector. And it's a screw cap. So while I will say it is stylistically quite similar to the Parker 51, I would like to say that it is definitely its own pen. In a lot of ways, like I said, it has exceeded the original. Now, I'm not reviewing the Parker 51 today. It might be interesting down the road to film a video where I compare the Parker 51 with some of its knockoffs. But in the meantime, I'd like to look at this pen in its own right as a pen. So let's forget the original and talk about the Wing Sung 618. So just by chance, I've been reviewing a lot of Hero pens today, and without thinking, I wrote Hero 618. Well, it's not. It's a Wing Sung 618. It doesn't give a nib size, but I don't think I'd be going out on a limb to call this a fine. My ink is a one that was sent to me. It's by a viewer, Birmingham. They always have such complicated names. I have to bring my list down with me to remember what they're called. They're all named after places in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and most of them I've never heard of. Forbes Field Green. Whoops. Kind of looks like a grayish green to me. I don't know. I'm not good at describing color. Green is an M. Filmed too many reviews in a row. I'm starting to get tired. All right, so when you're looking for flex, don't look for a hooded nib. I mean, the Parker 51 was never known for its flex. That said, there is a little bit of line variation just because of the grind of the nib. But I said a little bit. Wetness and flow. Of course, keep in mind it's a fine nib, I think. No trouble keeping up. I've never had trouble with this pen running dry. Smear test. It could be because of the fineness of the nib, but I find it's a bit stingy with the ink. And then, of course, my reverse writing, which something you're more likely to do if you're into art or sketching. So I very rarely even know how oh God, that's awful. Oh, I just gouged the paper there, and now I'm dragging fibers along. So, yeah, that was lovely. Well, not a reverse writer, shall we say. So now that you've taken a look at how this pen writes, in my different tests, let's look at a longer form writing with a quote. So I'm not going to editorialize about the quote. I would suggest, though, to get the context and to figure out what the message is, maybe look up who Edward L. Bernays was. I'll save maybe discussing this topic for a driving video down the road. So would I buy this pen again? Actually, I am tempted. I won't say I'm over the moon with it, but I like it a lot. I've really enjoyed. I've reviewed some other Parker 51 knockoffs, and I've just really seen how they're improving and they're exceeding what the original Parker 51 was. All the way from my 99-cent knockoffs to this, a world of improvement. So I'm actually very tempted. There's a reddish kind of ruby-colored one. There's a bluish one, a very sapphire-like, less rich version of the platinum Bordeaux and platinum Chartreuse blue. But I just kind of like it. I'm a little concerned about the cracking I've seen around the piston mechanism, but it could be this one is defective. I do not know. So if you've seen cracking on yours, I'd really appreciate knowing that. This is the kind of pen I could travel with, go to somewhere where I'm kind of concerned about the safety of my pens. But would like a nice looking writer, because I think this is an attractive pen. And yet, if somebody else thinks it's an attractive pen and swipes it, oh well. I hope you fill it wrong and squirt ink all over yourself. But it's a nice writer. It is not a fun writer. It's just a nice business-like writer for doing business-like writing. So, and at the price, you can hardly argue with that. So I enjoy what's happening with the Chinese manufacturers, and I look forward to what's coming next. So if videos like this, where I talk about fountain pens, both vintage and new, and at all price points, interest you, please feel free to subscribe below. If you'd like to talk about this particular pen, or knockoffs of the Parker 51 in general, please comment below. I'd sure like to hear your thoughts. So thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.